Today is going to be all about what we are going to do with the keywords that we looked up in our homework yesterday. And I know some of you haven't done it. That's okay. This will still make sense for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to look at where we're going to use keywords in the content that you're going to create. And we're going to look at an outline of an optimized blog post. And as far as taking notes today, I would like you to just absorb what I'm saying because the PDF that I'm going to share with you, which is the outline, is in the session for today where the replay is going to be. That's going to be uploaded there so you can download it and have your own copy. So the first thing, and this is questions that were asked yesterday, is where do we use these keywords? The simple answer, everywhere on the internet. So that could be your website pages as well as blog posts, articles if you post articles somewhere, press releases in your social media posts. If you're doing paid advertising, it'll make your advertising work better or be less expensive. We'll put it that way. If you're doing podcasts, you want to use them in your podcast show pages because those would get ranked in search engines, directories, and anywhere else you can think of on the internet. Once you figure out this skill, it's going to serve you forever for everything you do online. In the bulk of today, I'm going to explaining how to create an optimized blog post. And I say blog post, but it's the same if you're doing a website page or if you're doing an article. It's all the same concept. So don't get hung up on the fact that you may not have a blog. It applies to literally everything. And I want you to think back to when you were in probably about 8th grade English, and we had to figure out how to make outlines for research papers that we create. This is literally that same concept. The very first big Roman numeral, your Roman numeral 1, is going to be your headline or your main topic for whatever it is that you're writing. In that headline is going to contain your main keyword for that article. And the closer that main keyword is to the front of the headline, the better off you are. What I generally do is I format my headlines with the main keyword, a colon, and then a few words after that that would be explaining something. And then as far as your headline goes, in most platforms that you would be creating your article, your website, your blog page in, is formatted this way already. The headline that you type in is sometimes called the title, and that is the only heading 1 that you get on your page. If you are someone who is in the habit of formatting your text by using the headings, which a lot of people do that, and you use a heading 1 again, that's a big SEO ding. So don't do that. The headline will always show at the top, title, the first one. Okay, and then you want to add a few sentences explaining whatever that topic is. And I'm going to show you an example in just a minute. And then you can add images, anything you want. If you're using images, be sure that you're filling out what's called the alt, A-L-T, text. And that is basically telling the search engines what this image is about. And it also is used for screen readers. If there's anybody using your website that is blind, they're using screen readers. And it doesn't even have to be completely blind. I know people that use screen readers that just are, they just don't see. And so instead of making everything extremely large, they just use a screen reader. So that's part of accessibility. So now, once you've got your headline and your kind of your introduction in there, then we're going to go to our subheadings. And if you think back to that English paper, this would be your next Roman numeral down. And the first subheading is going to be in a heading 2. And you've got 1 through 6 as far as search engines go. And most platforms will give you 1 through 6. Again, you only use heading 1, and that's the very top of your page. The next one is going to be a heading 2. And then you might have a sentence or two or some bulleted lists of something. And then if you've got another, what would be considered a subheading that's related to that heading 2, it gets a heading 3. So if you're thinking about your English outlines, when you indent in and you did an A, B, C, and then maybe you indented in and did a little a and a little b and a little c, those are your different heading distinctions. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example because this will probably make more sense. And this is a post that I did a few years ago. So you'll look at this and you go, what is all this talking about? Doesn't matter. So the title of this post was Google User Experience Update, and that was my H1. Okay. And then I put a video in here because I created a video for this post. And in the video, I explained whatever the post was talking about. Put the video up at the top. Now, right under the video, I put an H2, and that was Google's user experience UX update due out on that date. That was my H2. The keyword I'm going after here was Google's user experience because they had just come out with this big user experience update and people were searching for that term. Okay, and then I did a supporting sentence with an image. And then I dropped down and I put in what is user experience. That's related to my heading 2, which was the Google user experience. Therefore, it got an H3. And then I followed that up with a couple of paragraphs explaining what user experience means. Then I put, how does Google define UX? And that is another H3. Okay, and then I had a few more supporting sentences that explained what their definition is. And then I went down to the next headline, how to get a lower LCP score. Put that as an H3, and then I put in a paragraph and an image that described what an LCP score is, and it defined it, told it what it was. And then I had another supporting headline under that, and that was a list. And then we jumped back out to how to get a lower FID score. And I did the same thing. That's an H3. And my supporting paragraph and an image, and these images were screenshots that were showing something. And then I did another list in there. And then how to get a lower CIS score. And again, supporting image, paragraph of a definition, and the list or the image was a screenshot, and then another list. I went back out and did another H2 at the end, and that was my conclusion and kind of the summary of the article. If you define your articles this way, or if you create an outline for them this way, then Google and other search engines, they don't get confused. They start at the top and they say, this is your keyword we want to rank for. They come down, they're reading information, and each one of the headings has either the main keyword or a supporting keyword. And in this instance, the LCP, FID, and CIS, they were defined up in that how does Google define UX? They were defined in there, and they are supporting keywords to the Google's user experience. And that's why I did it this way. Instead of just creating one paragraph, one really long paragraph that says all the same stuff, but it's just really text heavy and really dense. And so instead of doing that, we break up our paragraphs, and it also makes it what they call scannable, as in a person comes there and they can quickly read your headlines. And then if a headline grabs them as the piece of information that they're looking for, then they can read the sentences and lists or images or whatever you have related to that. And it makes it easier for people to digest your information, which creates a better user experience. And Google now judges our websites and our blog posts and our articles on whether or not it's giving a user a good experience. A lot of people that are used to getting information quickly, if they come to a page and they just see this huge paragraph that's really dense looking, instead of even trying to read it, they just leave. And that's actually called a bounce. And that is really bad for your search engine optimization when that happens. What you don't want to have happen is someone come to your site and they go immediately, this is not what I'm looking for, and they bounce away. And then they go down to the next listing and they click in and they absorb that information. That's a signal to Google that your website is a worse user experience than the next one down, and Google will flop them. Now you've lost whatever position you are in, and you're down one or two or three or four. There is no distinction on how far they'll drop you. Bounce rate is a big thing. Erico, I see your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yeah, so are you intentionally using the almost same word in headline one and two?
Yes, I am. That's very
Why?
intentional.
Then
So
why do
headline
you need
one,
yeah, one and two?
yeah, headline one, Google user experience update. So it's not the exact same phrase. Headline two, Google's possessive user experience UX, which is a symbol that people use for user experience update. So yes, it was very intentional that I did that.
So that either can be picked up?
Correct.
Okay,
It's a signal to Google that this is what this article's about.
okay, thank you.
Therese,
Um, I think this is a silly question, but this is what's always in my mind when I think of H1, H2, and so forth. Does it matter the size of the font that you use?
no,
You just need to make sure that you use the designation that's in the platform for H1. Is that what you're going by?
absolutely. So what Google and other search engines are doing is they're reading your code. They don't see anything about how your site is laid out. They don't see the different size designations, any of that stuff. It's 100% the code on your website. And so what they're looking for, a higher weight if it's an H1, a lesser weight if it's an H2, and it goes all the way down to H6. So the lower you get down on the list, the less important those keywords are. So your H1 and H2 are your most important, and they need to have your main keyword for the page or article that you're writing in there. It doesn't need to be exact. It could be a plural. It could be like in that example I had UX, which is a very common abbreviation for user experience. So it can be variations like that, but it does need to be there. And you notice when I got down to like the H3s and 4s, it wasn't the exact keywords, but it was supporting keywords that the search engines know are related to this main keyword. They have a database. It's absolutely incredible. They have mapped out what words are related to other words. And they know if you are trying to be an expert in a certain thing, and this is somewhat, we're going to cover this tomorrow, but if you're trying to be an expert in a certain thing and you're saying that you are a website designer and you want to be an expert website designer, Google knows and has a list of all of what they consider supporting keywords and areas that you need to have knowledge in order for you to be considered an expert. So those need to be on your website as well. And we'll get deeper into the weeds on that tomorrow. But as far as the actual how you create an optimized page, these are all of the basic rules that you need to follow. Another rule is when you start your first paragraph, the main keyword should be at the beginning of your paragraph. And when your page is all done, that main keyword needs to be at the end of that paragraph to tie that loop together. What other questions do we have on how to structure the content that you're going to write? Yes, Larry. If you want to unmute, you can ask your question.
There, you can hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. So if my website's already designed and everything, and I have a blog set up, so this content can be put in the blog, correct?
Yes. In this
Okay.
instance, yes, that actually was a blog post.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on the outline of how to create this? And this falls true for even just web pages. If you're a service provider, like Wendy, what do you do?
I am a therapist and addiction specialist and coach.
Okay. So if you have a web page for addiction on your website, the web page should be formatted in this way. And you want to have your main addiction keyword. You want to use Google Trends and see if you come up with other keywords related to addiction. And if they're lesser important, but they're still good keywords for you, you work them into your H2s and your H3s.
Okay, thank you.
So you take the list that we created yesterday and group them together based on topic, because some of you might have 3 or 4 or 5 or more topics. And then while you're creating content for that topic, you now have a list of words that you want to incorporate into those pages.
Okay, I just had a question because I watched some of the first video
Uh-huh.
and you said you could go to Answer the Public and
Yes.
it's free. So I tried to enroll in it, but they say 7 days free and then they're giving you all these different options to pay. So there goes the free idea because I was trying to figure out some keywords for my business.
If you go to Answer the Public and don't even register, you can use it 3
Oh.
times a day. Yeah, the
Oh.
only reason you'd want to register is if you want to track your searches. And that used to be free, but maybe they've put a charge to that now.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. When you're coming to social media posts, obviously they're not long pages like that. In social media, there's different reasons for being on social media. Some of the posts that I do are just, here's what I'm doing. Here's a pictures of my grandkids. Any that stuff I don't care about. Write anything you want, it doesn't matter. And other times I'm there to promote something. Like some of you probably found this webinar through social media. When I do that, the title that I put in, or the very first line, so in LinkedIn and Facebook, it's just the very first line that you write. I format that like it's a title to a blog post. And it has the keyword that someone might be searching for if they're looking for information on whatever topic. And then under that, I put some sort of attention-grabbing question that uses the keywords, but it's a question that if they answer it, one, it's not usually a yes or no question. It's usually a question designed to drive them to wanting to learn more information about whatever it is. And then I also put a link in there. And you'll see a lot or hear a lot of people say, If you put a link in your posts, then that platform isn't going to promote your post out as far as it would if you didn't put a link in there. And that is 100% true. If you're more comfortable putting a link in the first comment, you can do that. Some platforms let you stick that comment to the top, and other platforms do not. And on the ones that do not, I usually just put the link in the body. Otherwise, it gets lost. And there's two reasons for that link. It's easy for someone to go register if you're offering something, a class, whatever. They don't get lost trying to figure out where they need to go. The other thing is it's a link from, say, Facebook or LinkedIn, a trusted platform as far as search engines are concerned, going to your website. Those links are good for search engine optimization. That's the second reason for doing it. The other thing I do with these posts, the ones that I'm promoting something in, is I proactively share them into groups that have people that would be interested in whatever the topic is. For this class, I shared it to some groups that I'm members of that are small business owners. Nothing specific. I shared it to different networking groups that I'm in, like WPN, Leadership Global, those kinds of things. And I also shared it to some other groups I'm in that are specific. One of them is for authors, because a lot of authors need to know how to write for a website, which is very different from writing a book. They couldn't be further apart in how you write. To get more traction on your social media posts, think about where you can proactively share them into groups that would be interested in what you're offering. Yes, Wendy.
A lot of times they say you cannot advertise in the groups. They say no spam.
That's a group you don't want to share in. I'm probably in 50 to 100 groups, and I really only share into about 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions on this topic? So your homework for today is to create something, whether it's a short social media post, it can be a blog post, whatever it is. And if you want feedback on it, go ahead and sign into the community. And there's a section in there for homework. You can post a link to it, and I'll go ahead and look at it and give you honest feedback on how you did. And if you don't want to post it, you don't have to. That's 100% up to you. And is Laura here today? Thought I saw her. There she is, Laura. The question you asked me yesterday, if you can come on Friday, I will demonstrate and show you exactly where to go in your Google Analytics to find.
That's really kind. I know that some of the folks here are probably in very early stages, but I did want to, before we close, share a couple of tools I have found really helpful as a non-expert. Since
Sure.
you're the expert, Dottie, but sometimes it helps to have a tool that can help you be a little better at it. I use two things if anyone's interested. I use Yoast because I have a WordPress site and it's a plugin, and it will coach me to help me improve my SEO, and it makes sure that my meta descriptions are optimized and my slugs are optimized. So there's a free version. I have a paid version. I used a free version for a while and I really liked it so much I actually now have a paid version. And
I
then
love that plugin.
okay, so just sharing that with everyone. And if anyone ever wants to see how I do it, or want Dottie to show you how you do it, I know Dottie's really busy, and her time is to be paid. I'm happy to share what I do. I won't have the expertise that Dottie has, but I can show you what I do as a non-expert. And the other thing is in Hootsuite, they have an AI and what they call enhance with AI. So if you have Hootsuite, the paid version, again, I have a paid version. There is a free version, but if you get a paid version, you can put your what I call a hoot. I don't know what you're supposed to call them, but I call them a hoot into the Hootsuite. And then I select the platform I wanted to go on, whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever. And then I will select enhance with AI, and it will make suggestions on how to improve it. You can improve tone, you can improve engagement, you can do all different things to the post.
And
I know that
several
Dottie,
of
I know
these,
that's cheating from Dottie's point of view because
it's not cheating. It is not cheating at all. I use AI. The people that actually know me know that I have custom GPTs and I write blog posts using those. I use AI all the time. But what I've put into those custom GPTs is the structure that I just showed you,
Yes.
so that I know it comes out with an optimized post for me. So knowing this structure is really going to help.
Dottie, do we have that option in Go High Level like Laura has in Hootsuite?
Yes, we do. And actually, I think most social media scheduling platforms are integrating AI into them. I know Later has, and I know CoSchedule has, Go High Level has, and now I know Hootsuite has.
And maybe Sprout too. I don't know the other ones. Ghost. I put
Oh.
that in the chat.
That is a WordPress only plugin.
Oh,
So if you have WordPress, it's great. If you
know.
don't, then it's not available to you.
okay, okay.
In honor of our time, we are at our half an hour. So I
Thank
will say, I will see you tomorrow.